Boy, this is some wonderful music you've got here. I just wanted to say, man,
Yeah, it's not
it's very
probably.
soothing to my poor tooth that just does not want to give up the ghost tonight.
Oh, well, Joe, we have to send a lot of love, light, and sympathy Joe's way
Oh
because,
man, this sucks.
oh, there's nothing. I don't think there's any pain in the world that comes close to toothache. And of course, people will say, but Kev, you're a man, you've never experienced childbirth, things like that. I don't need to experience childbirth to know that toothache is another level of pain.
Oh yeah, it
Maybe
sucks.
childbirth is up there. I'll never know. Anne
It's
assures me
one of
it
those.
is.
It's one of those that go into your jaw and then up in your eyeball and all that stuff. It's really crappy. Oh wait a minute, the beard just said yo.
Oh, the beard.
The beard, I tell you.
Right. Find out what the beard's up to, right? Because now he's
I
going to
will
come in
be
here
back.
and he's going to screw up all of my brilliant setting up of the
I
stream.
know. I'll be right back.
Okay. But folks, thank you for tuning in today. Before we get going, okay, I think we need about 2 more members and we unlock the new emoji. So if you want to support the stream, and it's not a must, it's not a biggie, we would appreciate it. It unlocks the new emojis for members. And now that we're really starting to build the memberships up, on the channel, on my channel, I say that I'm going to do one member only live stream a week. And I've been thinking about this. I mentioned it to Joe yesterday. And I think what I might start doing for the members out there is the occasional show, maybe one show a week. I'll simulcast and I'll make that for the members only. Now, obviously, the video will go live afterwards for everyone. I don't want to lock people out. However, I think people who are supporting the channel do deserve something a bit extra. So that's my plan. It might not be next week. It might be the week after. We'll see how it goes. There's a bit of an issue because the music I use on TFR, a lot of it's going to be copyright. So I'm going to have to start learning how to time switching over from TFR back to the stream and things like that. So leave that with me, but there are going to be perks aside from the cool emojis that the members get out there. We've got super chats if you want to throw something into the super chat, always appreciated. Birthday week this week, so PayPal even more appreciated because we wouldn't want, Google stealing half of my birthday money, Scott, right?
So I got this beard, right? And this beard is, of course, doing what the beard always does. This beard is a
God.
driving beard.
And he's a fashionably late driving beard.
It's a fashionably late driving beard. But there's no video for the beard.
Oh, that's good then. That's good.
So you just add him to the call and he just like flash where my box is or something, right? There you go.
Excellent. I will add him into the call then. So for folks out there wondering who the beard is, well, that's our good friend, the Poopster. So I will get the Poopster in here very quick. Popeye, there he is.
Yes, very good.
Poopster in the house, hopefully in a moment. Well, I'm sure he'll be delighted with the theme of the show tonight. Absolutely.
I don't know. I think he's probably for soy boys or soy girls or soy somethings or soy non-binaries.
Listen, you don't get accepted by that whole. Oh, now he's gone. See, he almost screwed us up. Almost. You can't be a soy boy with a beard like Popeye's, dude. It just doesn't work.
But it's a very soft beard, so it's kind of soyish. It's like a soy beard. If there was a soy way to be beardy, it would be that way.
Is it a soft beard?
Yeah, very soft.
Soy and soft.
And it's got kind of a Hebrew theme to it, too. I like it.
Popeye, how you doing, man?
Hello, gentlemen. And no, my beard is not a soy beard, you tard.
Dude, I know with a beard like that, you wouldn't be welcomed into soy establishments. You'd be kicked out for your obvious toxic masculinity, dude. You wear it like,
yes.
You wear it as a badge of pride.
You've got a man's beard. You can't be in here.
Yeah, you wear your male toxicity badge right on your face for everyone to see it. I love it, dude. What have you been up to, Popeye, man?
Moving to the sticks.
Uh-oh.
Very good.
How bad is
I
it?
told you. I wasn't kidding when I told you. I sold my house and I bought a place out in the middle of nowhere.
And let's just
You have to drive down a dirt road. It's a private dirt road.
Oh no, let's just do something real quick. Let's recap. What's your internet service going to be like there? Go ahead.
4 megabytes per second. That's if I go with the company that ran landlines. Now you know what they're doing for rural areas. They're using the 4G and 5G network. They got companies where they're making it's like basically I forget what it's called, but they basically take a transceiver and a receiver unit, and they put it up on either a pole next to your house or on your house, and they send the signal directly to that box, and then it comes out and it gets switched into.
So what you're saying is your
like a coax cable.
receives the signal. So your pole's receiving the signal, at which time
Yes.
you're
Your
able
pole is receiving the signal, Joe.
Well, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny you guys should be like putting on the Sean Connery accent, because that's where we're starting today, folks.
Oh no.
No,
You're not.
I've bit my tongue for long
No.
enough. I've been
Is he
watching.
alive? Wait, did he die?
No, listen, dude.
Okay.
Listen to this, right?
Oh, this is awful.
I have been biding my time. I thought to myself, I'm not going to talk about this kind of thing.
This is going to cause me to self-mutilate.
It's going to divide people. It's going to make me look like the toxic male that I privately am. But this first story, if you didn't think the world had gone mad, it really has now. Check this headline out. The black woman who will be the next 007. New James Bond film will feature British actress Lashana Lynch taking over the famous code name, but that doesn't stop legendary agent trying to seduce her. Yeah, that's right, folks. They've done it. We have got a new 007, and it is this lady here. They have gone and given the 007 code name to a woman. Now, before I get into...
Yeah, but what do you do about the name James Bond? Because that's pretty masculine.
Dude, James Bond?
Jamie Bond. Well, she kind of looks masculine. I got to tell you, she looks kind of non-binary, to be honest with you.
I'm out. You see why I moved to the woods? You see why I moved to the woods? Because of shit like this.
Right.
This is why I moved to the woods.
Yep.
And this is why we can't have nice things either.
Right.
Here we go, right? Here we go. Since Daniel Craig announced he was standing down as James Bond, debate has raged whether the next 007 should be a woman or black. No, it hasn't. I've never seen anybody demanding that 007 should be a woman. So it says now the Mail on Sunday can reveal that she will be both, thanks to the intervention of feminist TV writer Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And
what is up with her fucking eyebrows?
It's that thing. Remember we played
They're
the
like
Scottish
handlebars.
guy? Yeah, remember we played the Scottish guy talking about the eyebrows and stuff? Yeah,
Oh,
it's just a
shit.
thing now. In what's been called a popcorn dropping moment, British star Lashana Lynch will be given Bond's License to Kill in the 25th movie of the franchise, currently being shot in Italy and the UK. But it gets worse, guys. I mean, she's not even the prettiest of people, but that's just me. That's just my opinion.
No, that's like everybody, dude, except her parents.
It says
and
here-
I'm sure she's probably an orphan.
Thank God that this was taken care of and that this massive issue was handled, because, you know, it's been a burning, pressing issue in Hollywood for years now. Hey, when is James Bond going to be played by a woman? I don't know. When is Wonder Woman going to be played by a dude?
When's the next...
That's exactly what I said.
And, you know, if they make another film...
Hi, Scott.
What if they make a film about Jesus? I mean, are they going to change that into a woman next? I mean, this is where we're going. This doesn't work for Hollywood companies. You know, they only have to look at things like Ghostbusters to realize that this kind of wokeness, go woke, get broke, this totally applies to this. People are not going to watch it, but I've got a little bit more to read, and it'll probably anger people even more. It says, however, traditionalists can relax. She's not the new Bond, but a new character who takes over his secret agent number after he leaves. MI6. The story begins with Bond retired in Jamaica, but Spy Master M, played by Ralph Fiennes, calls him back in desperation to tackle a new global crisis. This is where it gets interesting. A movie insider said there's a pivotal scene at the start of the movie where M says, "Come in, 007, and in walks Lashana, who is a black, beautiful, and a woman. It's a popcorn drop-in moment. Bond is still Bond, but he's been replaced by the stunning woman. Bond, of course, is sexually attracted to the new female 007 and tries his usual seduction tricks, but is baffled, like the toxic male he obviously is, when they don't work on a brilliant young black woman who basically rolls her eyes at him and has no interest in jumping into bed. Well, certainly not at the beginning. And if that wasn't enough, the source added that the phrase Bond girls is now forbidden. We're all told that from now on they're to be addressed as Bond women. And then the person who directed it, Waller-Bridge, says there's been a lot of talk about whether or not James Bond is relevant now because of who he is and the way he treats women. No, there's not been any talk about that. There's never been any talk about that. Quote, I think that's bullshit. I think he's obviously relevant now. The franchise just has to grow. It just got to evolve. And the important thing is that the film treats women properly.
No,
he doesn't have to.
Kev,
he
there
needs
was
to be
totally
true to his character.
there was totally a conversation about this. There was totally a conversation. This guy and two of his friends, right, on a Saturday night, because they're losers, and this is the shit that they talk about. And he's like, there's massive intrigue. No, there's not. There's
not.
Three of you in a circle jerk having a discussion about the most retarded shit ever. This is why society is going in reverse. Hey, let's remake everything and make every lead character a female. Why?
You know,
Why?
Popeye, myself and Scott, we were saying earlier on, see if they had made like a 008 or a 006 and created a new character. I mean, I probably would have watched this. It's the fact that they're forcing all this crap on us, dude. It's absolutely ridiculous. And like I say, Scott, if they were to look at other films that have gone down this road, and the best example being Ghostbusters, people don't want it. It's all fake. This outrage that they're talking about, it's all fake. It's absolute fake.
Yes, exactly. And these stories, like you know, these franchises, right? The 007, you know, it's based off the books, and all of that. The whole appeal to it was the fact that the sort of stereotype around the character, or the, you know, the character, you know, Bond is supposed to
toxic
be
masculinity.
like, yes, Bond is supposed to be a brash, kind of chauvinistic kind of guy, you know, always trying to get the ladies. And that was the appeal of 007. That was part of his character. That was part of what made it what it is.
That's his shtick, right?
So, yes, that's the shtick, you know, and so when you take like the core of what that character is, what made that character, and you just throw it out the window and you replace it with something else, it's like it's a total slap in the face, you know, basically. And like I said, it's not the fact that
if you gave a shit about it.
It's not the fact that I have a. It's not I don't have a problem with a black woman playing a secret agent.
Be real. Be real. Put your hood on. Go ahead, do it now.
Well, somebody said to me earlier on, is it because she's black or is it because she's a woman? And it's definitely not the color, because my first pick for James Bond, the new one, would be Idris Elba, a man of color. I've got no problem with that, but it's a man.
Yeah. It's the fact that it's a woman.
Yeah.
How about all this shit is being done on purpose to create division? Okay, entertainment has never been about entertainment, quote unquote. Thank you, Alan Watt. It's never been about fucking entertainment. It's all about programming. And right now, this shit to like blur the lines, it's to create chaos. So nobody has a foundation. Society's foundations get shaken to their core. And what happens? Chaos ensues. And then what happens? Then people start asking the guys on the white horses in the shining armor, oh, please save us, please save us. And those are the same schmucks that came up with the idea to create the chaos.
Yep.
Ordo ab chaos. They're doing this shit on purpose. And they know that popular culture and the culture wars and all this other crap is key to it. And by the way, this whole thing where everybody's arguing over the stupidest shit, you know, oh, we have to go back. You said something 30 years ago. You should lose your show. You're so mean. All this stupid shit is to keep people arguing while nobody's paying attention to what they're doing. Well done. Well done. Well done, everybody. Orange man good or orange man bad? Well fucking done. He's a puppet. Trump's a lightning rod. Everything gets blamed on him so that nobody, like everyone, like look at now, Epstein. Finally, they're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. You conspiracy theorists, there's no rich elite pedophiles, except now there is. And holy shit, there's a pedophile ring. But I'm sure nobody we know is connected to it, except Nancy Pelosi's daughter felt it necessary to make a public statement coming from the Democratic National Committee saying, some well-known names might be involved in this, and, you know, it's going to be shocking, but let's let the investigation go through to its end. Why would you have to say that? Are you concerned that there's prominent Democrats that might get exposed for being pedophile pieces of shit? Perhaps?
It'll all get swept under the rug, dude.
Well, check this out. Check this out first.
That's why they're blaming Trump.
Popeye,
they blame Epstein on Trump,
Popeye.
Right? They say he was friends with him, and then they don't look at the Clintons. And then eventually this will get swept under the rug, and Epstein will end up dead in a fucking jail cell somewhere.
Popeye.
With like hanging or whatever.
Guys, get this right, because I'm just going to back up what you are saying here, because there's one more paragraph from this article, and this really gets down to the bottom of it, okay? It says here, this is a Bond for the modern era, who will appeal to a younger generation while sticking true to what we all expect in a Bond film, the source said. There are spectacular chase sequences and fights, and Bond is still Bond, but he's having to learn to deal with the world of hashtag Me Too.
That
is from the person who is directing this. You know, you have to make Bond live in a world with Me Too, guys. I mean, it's the way the world is now, right?
Hashtag eat a bag of dicks.
I mean, what? Well, you've got the new Terminator film as well. I mean, that's going to be a major character, and that's going to be the woman, right? I see somebody in the chat room saying, should we have Sherlock Holmes as a woman? That's how ridiculous this is getting.
Yeah, but Shirley Holmes.
Shirley Holmes. No, just call it Sherlock.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. What happens when we reverse it, right? And we start making female characters male characters? Is that then going to be sexist and toxic masculinity?
Absolutely.
You can't have it both ways.
Well, check this out, right? Because people might think, well, come on, guys. This is a fictional world. It doesn't really mean anything, right? But it does, because this is also going on in the real world. And I take you to this story here, and this should really piss anyone off, man or woman. Nobody likes the whole drunk driving thing, right? You get that? Well, get this. A judge faces no action over drink driver being a woman remark. A judge who said a drink driver deserved a chance to avoid jail because she is a woman will not face sanctions. Victoria Parry collided with 3 vehicles, which caused her Fiat to spin out of control near Stratford-upon-Avon. And in April, Judge Sarah Buckingham was investigated after she said Parry would have gone straight down the stairs to jail if she was a man. But the Judicial Conduct Investigations Office said there was now no outstanding complaint. That's exactly what that judge said to her at sentencing. If you were a man, I would send you to jail. But because you're a woman, you can go home, you can have a little slap on your wrist, and you don't get sent to jail. Why? Because you're a woman. It's a 2-tier legal system we're looking at now. Different sentences if you're a man or a woman. What's that all about?
Can I just point out that, okay, the idea, and I'm not... I'm all for, women's, equal rights and everything. I'm not an asshole.
Absolutely.
I'm not a total misogynist asshole, but I have to just point something out. they want special, or I don't want to say they, I shouldn't generalize. This individual and people like her want special privileges, and they want special privileges like they're victims, but at the same time they want to be treated like they're not victims. Well, you can't have it. You can't be both things at the same time. It doesn't work that way. So either you're equal and you get treated equal, right? Or you're a victim and like if you were a guy, you would have went to jail, but because you're a woman, I'm not going to send you to jail. Does that imply that you feel that she's inferior because she's a female? That you see what I mean? Because that's what I see. I'm seeing that the judge is implying that all women are victims. They're just because they're women. Therefore, she deserves this. Now, I mean, whatever. Maybe the lady, did she kill people in the accident? Were people killed?
No, they weren't, Popeye. They weren't. But if that was a guy and it caused an accident, I mean, even the judge admitted that he would have gone to jail that day for exactly the same offence. Same thing gone down. If it was a dude with testicles, there would have been a jail sentence. No testicles, away you go home.
I can understand if they sent her to jail, but maybe sent her to alcohol rehab too as well, like helped her or psychiatric care, helped her figure out, because the alcoholism is a symptom. It's not really. We treat the symptoms as the main source of the problem, and so does the UK, and that's not the fucking problem. The problem is something else, and I can understand some humanity in that direction, but not giving her jail. No, it's bullshit. It's not, and that's the definition of sexism.
Yeah, they just straight up threw the case out. That's what it sounds like to me. She faced absolutely no consequences for it. So I mean, wow. I mean, it's fucking crazy.
What about the victims?
Let's get this out.
Were any of the victims men or women?
Here we go, right? Here we go. We'll give it a bit more context. It says Paddy of Beerley, Stratford-upon-Avon, hit a van's rear bumper, a Vauxhall Insignia's wing mirror, and the side of a BMW in the crash in May last year. She was found to be almost 3 times the legal limit and later admitted dangerous driving and driving while disqualified. And her lawyers said she had a considerable drink problem, which I'm not going to criticise. But get this, they also put, after a 15-year abusive relationship. So that's there you go. We'll throw that in. There's a man at the centre of this. A man caused it.
There you go, man. It's because of the man.
Where's the horn, Scott? Where's the horn? Clown world. Yeah. That noise of hate that we've got in the background. But where does this stop, though? I mean, I used to joke about the fact that having testicles, Popeye, would basically be a crime soon, would be getting hunted in the street, man. We're an endangered species. And I used to say that as a joke, right? But you know what? The more I'm looking at the world, if somebody doesn't put a curb on this soon, we might get to that point. It's seriously deranged. It's weird.
It's not a joke, though. I mean, like I remember you joking around, but it's like half. You're like, oh, I'm kidding, but I'm half not. And it's like, the half that wasn't like it was a joke is now gone, and it's more like this is a reality, and it's unfortunate because it's being done on purpose. It's being done to split up men and women. Again, another issue to divide everybody on. Rather than bring people together, they sow division. When was the last time, by a show of hands, when was the last time any of us saw anybody go on television or radio, like the mainstream media or a politician or whatever, or any of these idiots on Twitter, when even a lot of people in the alternative media are now sliding into this. Everyone likes to come out and be divisive and yell and do stupid shit. Has anyone offered any solutions? When was the last time someone offered a solution? When was the last time someone told everybody to calm the fuck down and take a breather for 5 minutes and we'll figure it out? Like, everybody relax, okay? You need mommy's little helper, to quote Mick Jagger. Take a Valium, it's fine. Okay, you need a little drink of red wine, whatever you need to smoke a joint. I don't give a shit what your, drug of choice, quote, so to speak, is. Take something, mellow the fuck out. And everybody take 5 steps back, and relax, and we'll figure out a solution to all the problems. Because I don't see anybody offering solutions. I see everybody offering more divisiveness amongst everybody. And that's what this shit is about. It's to divide. Again, it's the people that control things. It's the social engineers. They know how to manipulate society. So they get people arguing, men and women. Men, you're toxic now. No, we're not fucking toxic. Yes, there are some guys that are, overbearing macho douchebags. Okay. And that's changed since when? Since the beginning of history, it's been like that. Okay. Even when you read his, stories that have been passed down from the generations, or things, like ancient Greek stories or stories of ancient Rome, there was always some asshole that was over macho and overbearing, right? So it is what it is. But it also swings to the opposite end of the spectrum. The pendulum goes both ways, okay? There's a happy medium. Men should be men. Men should be protective. That's what we're supposed to do. I don't mean overbearing. I don't mean a control freak asshole. But yeah, you should be protective of your wife, your girlfriend, your significant other, whatever, and your family. However that family may be made up, okay? They get everybody arguing amongst themselves while they retain complete control. Just like my business cards and my T-shirts say, right? The shadowing Uncle Sam figure, it's the same shit. Okay, and it hasn't changed, dude. I have been off of radio. It's so much more clear. It's so clearer to me being back and like unplugged from it all and looking at everything and being like, holy shit. I mean, they got the younger generation into these think tanks, right? It's not David Rockefeller. Everybody's still like, David Rockefeller. Blah, blah, blah. It's his great grandkids, okay, and their generation. Right, and his grandkids, they're young. They're all young enough in that era of growing up with technology to understand how to manipulate it. The older generation underestimated us, and they realized that was a mistake. And they even admitted back in I think it was 2005. It was 2006 or 2007 when Jay Rockefeller, the son, right? He said the internet should never have existed, perhaps. Right, oops. So they brought in the younger generations, the tech savvy ones, to figure out again. And a lot of this was already originally designed against us to be used to control us, but some of it was being used against them, and people were waking up, and it was working against them. So they figured out how to fix that problem real quick. And now they've got the very same people that were like, "Yeah, man, I'm against FEMA camps because, martial law is bullshit." Then they're turning around and being like, well, we should lock people up in camps if they disagree with us. And it doesn't matter what quote unquote political side that you subscribe to. Okay. I hear it from both ends. People are flipping out about these immigrant detention facilities. Hey, newsflash, you know what a fucking FEMA camp is? Because we've been talking about this for over 10 years. They're the same thing. They're the same thing. What do you think those are? Oh, they're only for immigrants. No, they're not. And if you think you're going to yell and scream and they're going to shut down ICE, good luck. That's not going to happen. Okay? And it's all those young freshmen, AOC and all them, they're never going to we should disband Homeland Security. I don't agree with her on many things, but maybe on that one I'll agree with her on. But she doesn't have the full picture, and she's being used. Okay. Yeah. She's a useful idiot. She really is. She's being used to sow chaos and disorder.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to chime in here. I saw a very good video that somebody put out explaining how, how Fox, the good old Fox dudes, right? They like to push their psyops and shit like that. But it was the way that they used AOC to push that psyop of the whole Department of Homeland Security thing, right? So one of the main things with psyops is if you can get someone's enemy to speak the truth, Those people will refuse to hear the truth, or they'll reject the truth, right? So she said something that was actually true, right? She pointed something out that was actually true. The Department of Homeland Security should be abolished. It shouldn't be there. It should have never been formed to begin with. That all came out of the Patriot Act, post 9/11. That was all PNAC. And so she spoke a truth. But because she's AOC, all of those people that hate her, all of those, quote unquote, limited government, get out of my business conservatives are all of a sudden now wanting the Department of Homeland Security to be there to keep everyone safe and keep everyone. And they're like, look, AOC said that the Department of Homeland Security needs to be abolished. How dare that commie? How dare that commie say that? We need the Department of Homeland Security, damn it. So you could see how that psyop worked. People that may have been.
That's what she's for, Scott.
Well, yes. Yeah. Yeah. And
no,
so
you just literally like read their white paper on her out loud. Literally. 100%. Scott has eyes that can see. Be careful.
And so, yes, so she did say something that needed to be done, or that needed to be said, and that was true. And I'm not a fan of AOC, not by any means. I know Kev is quite the fan of AOC.
Signed up AOC fan, absolutely. Nobody is under any illusion here that she is my number one girl.
But that's exactly, like Popeye said, that's what they're using her for. They'll have her spew like retarded bullshit pretty much like 95% of the time. And then whenever she does drop like these occasional nuggets of truth or something that is actually an issue or that needs to be looked at, then people are going to brush it off and be like, wow, this is more crazy shit she's talking about, when actually, maybe it is something that's legit. So
yes, that's what she's for. That's what they use. So it goes to this, the theory I have about the reason why Trump's the president. I've told you this. He didn't think he was going to be the president. He actually thought Hillary was going to win. Hillary thought she was going to win, but they needed to think that, during that whole process, because they needed to play their parts convincingly. Okay. But Trump is in there because he's a reality show TV president, right? So he gets all the hatred thrown at him. He gets all the anger. Everybody's, oh, Trump this, Trump that. I mean, somebody farts and it's Trump's fault. A lightning bolt will strike a tree in a forest. Trump did it. Okay. Doesn't matter. It's Trump's fault. And everybody gets mad at him, and it's the same thing. He's used to get the same people that hate AOC, Scott, and don't want to talk, fuck her, we should only have FEMA camps. Nah. Well, those are the same people that they don't want against them. Those were the same people that 2.5 years ago were up on a fucking overpass with a set of rifles taking on, or whatever the fuck those guys were laying on top of, with AR-15s, former veterans taking on government agents. Remember that? Remember the whole Bundy Ranch thing? Remember Lavoy Finicum getting shot in a pickup truck? Well, remember all that? Remember? That wasn't that long. Maybe it was a little more than 3 years ago. Maybe it was like because my timeline has kind of been off. Maybe it's been like 4 or 5 years now. My point is, those very same people were the people that they needed to get back into the fold. So how do you do that? You get them to believe in a guy. You put their guy in office, and then their guy could piss literally on the Constitution. It doesn't matter who it is. It's Trump, because he's a reality TV star, and we live now in this reality TV shit show. Okay, but he could literally piss on the Constitution, the real one. Okay, and the Declaration of Independence. He could open up the vault and urinate on it, right? And they would be like, well, it's okay because blah, blah, blah. And it would make literally no logical sense. But they would back him up because he's their tribal leader. And it's Obama was the same thing. That's why they swap them out every 8 years. I won't be surprised if Trump gets in again for another 4 years.
Not if you run against them,
to push the police state.
Dude, not if you run against them. The chat room are unanimously putting out a shout out for Popeye for president. I must admit, I'm not American, but if I could vote, I will.
And you see,
my beard would rule the whole. My beard would secretly rule like Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
Yes.
President Poopernickel.
Popeye, when he goes to sleep at night, the beard would be whispering subliminals into his ears, so that way he knows what to do the next morning when he wakes up. But no, I mean, look, AOC is basically playing the role of Trump on the other side, right? So you have Trump, he's bombastic, he says a lot of stuff. He's the lightning rod for everyone on the left to focus their anger on, and AOC is playing the role on the left for everybody on the right to focus their anger on, because she says ridiculous stuff. And so she's kind of playing that role on the other side, and they're both acting as like these lightning rods for everybody to bounce their anger back and forth on. So that's what that's how they're using.
It's a reality show. We live in remember when reality shows, when that first stuff came out, all right, when that stuff first came out, not like Big Brother or whatever was like the first like immersion into that. And again, and look what they named it, Big Brother. They put cameras all over the place. Gee, what do you think they were trying to get you used to? But reality TV was meant, and I remember talking about this on air years ago. I remember other people putting information. I don't know if it's, I mean, I know my shows are up there. I don't know what's still out on YouTube anymore. I used to say all the time, you can just go on YouTube and find it. Not anymore. So a lot of that stuff's been scrubbed. But you'll see that, like, this is not a new plan. Hey, this has been going on for a long time. But the idea of reality TV was, and they talked about this, it came out that they were, and you see in their behind the scenes talks or in white papers and stuff, the whole idea behind reality TV was to blur the lines. Back when we were younger, television was used for programming, for sure. And it would subliminally put ideas or put thoughts or ideas or both, whatever you want to call it, even imagery, subliminal imagery in the visuals, sometimes hidden really fast, but quite more often than not used to program you to think a certain way, right? Well, they've pushed it one step further beyond that with reality TV, because now they call it reality TV. It's scripted bullshit. I know, because I took part in a reality TV show years ago, and I can tell you it's scripted bullshit. And I know the people I'm friends with people that were on this show, and it's I mean, not that they're assholes or anything, but like, just like anything on TV, it's edited. You have producers. It's not the way they portray it. Okay, it's not as.
It's like the wrestling. It's like the WWE.
Yes. It's a show. Yes, exactly.
And they egg on the participants to act a certain way in order to
all the people selected
generate generate more drama and stuff.
Okay,
all the characters in there fulfill one of the stereotypes that's been pushed right now, that they'll come in and push that agenda. Absolutely. It's more scripted than bloody movies are.
Well, okay, there's a show called The Bad Girls Club, right? And this show, I don't know, it's got like 20 or 30 different, seasons of it now. But it's basically girls getting drunk, going out, getting drunk, and either getting in fights with each other, fights with people at the bar, or picking up random guys and getting laid. And that's the show. And usually each show involves a lot of yelling, screaming, punching. And these girls have, they say they try this. The premise is they try to screen the girls for, because they're badasses or they've gotten in trouble. And half of them aren't like, they're not as bad or badass as they seem to be. They're just, I don't know how else to put it. They're not badasses, okay? It's almost like they're playing a bit part. So I know a young lady who was on one of these shows.
Was it Tracy Beans?
Years ago.
Was it Tracy Beans,
she
Popeye?
Told us, huh?
Was it Tracy Beans? No?
No. And she told I had asked her about this. I said, yo, like, those shows are totally scripted, right? And I was on air by this time. I was doing radio. And I had asked her, I was conversating with my friend, his girlfriend, and her. And she told us that they made her sign a contract, and in the contract it stated that they all had to drink a certain amount of alcohol per day.
Oh, look at that.
In order,
keep them
pickled. It was in the contract because they knew that you put all these girls in a house together, or women, okay, or wimixin, or whatever the fuck the term is now, okay, and they put all these individuals in a house together and got them shit faced. What do you think is going to happen? And then they videotape it. Yes, and then they videotape it, right? Or videotape. Listen, I'm dating myself. They put it on video, and then they put it out on the airwaves for people to see. So this is where it blurs the lines, because it's billed as reality. So then they see these strangers coming together in a real house, like MTV's The Real World. Remember that? That was the same thing. That was the beginning of reality TV, blurring the lines. That was like 20-something years ago. And now you can't tell the difference between the real world and TV half the time, because people act the same. People used to have class and manners, and they used to speak to each other, even if they didn't agree all the time. And yes, throughout history, there's been yelling and screaming and disorder, but we were to a point where people were more cordial to each other. Now, you can't even have a civilized discussion at all about anything. And people say logic, go get your drinking glasses out, say the term logical fallacy to somebody, and they drool. They have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, right? So guess what? We live in idiocracy, and Trump is the modern, like, realistic, real version of what's his name? Terry Cruz's character, President. What was his fucking name in that movie?
Camacho.
Yes, President Camacho. Right? Trump is President Camacho. I mean, I was a vet. Great, Memorial Day. It was kind of cool. Yeah. But how much money was wasted? We could have given that money to veterans, or we could have fuck it, just add it on to the deficit. Who gives a shit? Just keep putting it onto the debt. That's cool. Wait, we got to raise the debt ceiling? Fuck it. We should just raise it indefinitely. We don't have to worry about, crashing or anything, right? Nah. The Federal Reserve, they're cool. They're awesome. I know them. Amazing guys. Amazing people. They're great, right?
But Popeye, we got bigger things to worry about, man. We got to worry about storming Area 51.
Right. Let's storm Area 51, because, all right, guess what? A UFO crash. Newsflash. UFOs are real. Aliens are fucking real. And the government's lying to you. What do you expect? And if you storm Area 51, I'm going to tell you what you will get. A very warm welcome from the United States Army.
Yeah, I want to stream the pink mist live. There's definitely going to be a lot of pink mist that day.
That's I posted and I said, yeah, that sounds real smart, storming a hardened military base. And how much are you going to want to see that alien technology when they open up on your asses with laser weapons and back engineered UFO technology and just turn everybody into fucking pale pink mist?
Well, when you're dead, you'll be part of everything again, and then you will know everything. So then I guess technically they are learning the truth.
Have you seen the fact, though, now you've got Keanu Reeves, Chuck Norris, Arnold Schwarzenegger, a whole heap of Hollywood cats are now pushing this as well. They're kind of adding their kind of 2 cents to this as well, which is going to make it trend even further.
There's only one way that I would storm Area 51 with Keanu Reeves, and that's if he goes in as John fucking Wick, okay? Because then you don't have any problems. If John Wick's got your back, you're fine. Okay, then it's like, all right, maybe I'll storm Area 51.
Yeah,
But without John Wick, no.
That's why the memes today, people are like, oh fuck, it's on now because you have Chuck Norris and Keanu Reeves both saying they're ready.
Well,
ready
hang
to
on.
Storm.
I know who should go first, okay? And just to prove that we're inclusive and we don't judge people on here, despite what the first part of this show has sounded like, I think this should be the person that really leads the charge at Area 51. How about we get into a little bit of this, folks? You ready? Let's see if we hear this one. This is the Horse Girl. She can lead the charge for Area 51. Check this out.
Here we have a young lady who refuses to be bipedal. Most of us are happy that we evolved to walk upright. But she's like, nah, I don't want my arms just dangling. I don't want them slightly swinging. Arms deserve more than that. Look at her trotting. Those are silky smooth trotting skills. And she can fucking gallop. She's a majestic wild stallion. If she was in the Melbourne Cup, I would definitely put her in a trifecta. What's that? There's a picnic table in my way? No worries. I'll bloody bound over that and keep going about me business. If she doesn't want to do outright competitive horse racing, which is fair enough, no one wants a small bloke with a whip sitting on your back, she could get into show jumping and other equestrian events. Yeah, this could be the making of a Tokyo 2020 Olympian, unless there's a bullshit rule against this, like some old official says, you're not a horse, you're a human. That would be bullshit. There's no room in the world for people being horsist towards Norwegian teenage girls. Just accept that she's a horse and get on with your own life. What's that? There's a wooden pallet from Dad's warehouse in me way? No worries. Bing bada boom. Some kind of cage for grass. Too easy. I want to be clear, I am supportive of this hobby, but fuck me, if you were stumbling home drunk at 2 a.m. and you saw her quietly jog around a corner like this, you'd shit your pants. Oh, that was huge. I hope the military doesn't get hold of her. You know, somewhere in one of the powerful countries, there's a warmongering fuckknuckle that wants to weaponize her. There's a megalomaniac somewhere that wants to build an army of Norwegian horse girls. I don't think she should fight for any one country. She should be like an Avenger.
She should be leading the charge for Area 51. Let the human horse do it, man. She can lead the way, Popeye. I wish you could have seen that.
Was he going to say she could be like an Avenger?
Yeah, listen, I'll let you hear this, but here you go. The last
She should be like an Avenger and defend Earth as a whole. Fuck yes, horse girl. Fuck yes.
So yes,
pretty talented to be able to do that so fluidly.
You know, when I first watched her, that was the thing that kind of knocked me kind of for six. The fact that she's so bloody good at it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not judging her.
My question is, when she starts dating, does she... Who does she date?
Good question.
And maybe a brony. Maybe one of those, because she could be like a My Little Pony, right?
Who
Did you
knows?
just say a baloney?
No. No, Joe. I didn't say My Baloney.
Oh my God.
I said a brony. Those are guys that like follow My Little Pony. By the way, that's where men are headed. Brony. Scott knows what the fuck I'm talking about.
No.
Yes, unfortunately, I know what a brony is. You know, I don't. Is that still a thing? Are they? Is that still a trend? I have no idea.
Yes, and so is being a furry.
I'm pleading ignorance. I'm pleading absolute ignorance on this one.
It just goes to show you where society is. When society starts to have decadent behavior.
Well, Popeye, I was going to ask you, right? I mean, we can have a laugh and a joke about this, and there's a serious side to it, obviously, but think of kids growing up today. I mean, that generation that's growing up now are eventually going to be the leaders in the world. I mean, what does this do to a generation, all the youngsters out there?
Well, you can see, okay, so remember when we all started, like when Charlotte Iserby became pretty well known for her book, The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, back in, like, we'll say people started really, I mean, she was known, but people started really paying attention about 2005, right? And now that was 14 years ago. So the kids, the children that we were talking about that were in school back then, that we talked about, the very generation that we said they are changing the way they think, they are the adults that you see today doing stupid shit in their 20s and saying stupid shit.
They're the millennials.
That is them. Yes, or running around in horse feet. That's why. I mean, all kidding aside, like I was making kind of, you know, a sarcastic joke, but like we do. But yes, all kidding aside, that's what that is. When people are like, "What the fuck is wrong with everyone?" Well, exactly what we told you was going to be wrong with everybody if they kept doing what they were doing, and if things stayed and ran their logical course and nothing changed. And this is what you see. This is what you get. You get a few generations now of people that are like, just I don't even know the word for it. I would have to say, if I said retarded, I'll probably get your broadcast demonetized or banned. Although I'm pretty sure I've already done that for you.
You just said it, Popeye. You being here, your presence is enough for the algorithm to go. Oh hell no, Kev. Oh hell no.
I know. I was slipping it in there. No, the word retarded, right, means slowed down. It doesn't, and people used it as pejorative in the 80s, like, don't be retarded, but who gives a shit? That's not what the word means. The word was, you know, and people back in the day used to call, you know, slow people a retard, you know, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. But the word means to slow down. Okay, like if you were a mechanic, you would retard the timing on an engine or a motor if you needed to, if it was out of alignment. Okay, and you needed to like set it back, you know, a little bit. It's retarding the timing. So people need to stop getting so sensitive and fucking butthurt over every little type of term that's used. Okay, you should. I mean, if you're going to pay attention to terms, how about the term government? How about that? That's derived. That word is a real dirty word. Oh, ha, 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 Popeye. No. I mean, it really is kind of a fucked up word if you think about it. It's derived from two Latin words, okay? A noun and a verb, okay? It means to control the mind. That's what government means. Broken down, the word actually means to control the mind. So let that sink in for a second, okay? But still get butthurt over the use of some other verbiage that doesn't mean anything. That if they want you to get mad at something and you see this massive push out of nowhere to change a certain thing, it's being pushed by big money. Okay? Nothing in politics happens by chance at all. Period. That's the way it is. Okay? So going back to what I was saying, that younger generation is what you see now, man. We talked about this. We all said, oh shit. I mean, we're getting older. Right? I started doing this when I was in my late 20s. I'm in my early 40s. So we've been doing this a while now. You know, we're the veterans of this, guys. We used to be, remember, we were like learning from the veterans of this. We reached out to them, would interview them, would ask them questions. We are now amongst those very same veterans of this push to try to get people to pay attention and to wake up and to think outside the box. And we're seeing that very generation, that first generation or generations of people that were programmed with this retarded way, this backwards way of thinking, okay, that and having the lines blurred and erased and no foundations for anything, and people being, you know, things being so chaotic they don't understand stuff, not being taught how to, you know, remember this is the same generation. We said they're taking away things like home ec, they're taking away things like wood shop, they're taking away things like auto shop. Now you have a generation of adults, young adults, that can't cook, change a tire, they don't know how to repair anything, they can't do anything. Why do you think that is? And their parents didn't teach them shit. Their parents failed them for whatever reason.
Oh, come on.
That's
Oh,
this
come on,
new
Popeye.
generation.
Come on, Popeye. The PlayStation and the Xbox, they brought those kids up well, you know?
And not all of them are like that. There's a lot of younger people. Listen to me, I sound like an old fart. There's a lot of
You
people
are.
in like their 20s that they're very intelligent and they impress me. And I meet people, I talk to them, and I'm like, sometimes I'm blown away by how connected they are. And I'll even tell them, man, you're not like your generation.
Popeye,
Unfortunately,
I find it's one way or the other. There's no kind of middle ground. Either they're like awake, fully awake, and surprisingly awake, not woke, but awake, or else they're the other way completely. They're totally brainwashed into the system, and how you get them back out of that, I don't know.
I just ask them how they feel about 9/11. What are your thoughts on 9/11? Oh, what Bin Laden did was horrible. Okay, I can't talk to you. Sorry, Scott. Go ahead. And by the way, it's good to do radio with you again, brother. I'm glad you're feeling good.
Yes, it's good to be back on with you. And yes, I'm doing so much more better since my surgery.
Your shotgun leg is on its way that I ordered for you, by the way.
Yes, and I know being the sick forensic bastard you are, I sent you the gnarly surgical wound photo. I sent it to Kev whether he wanted to see it or not.
It looks like a smile. Your stump looks like the Cheshire Cat. When it's healed up, if it's still got the scar there like that, and you're willing to do it, dude, I'll totally set it up for you to get like a baller ass Cheshire Cat tattoo on the stump.
That'd be pretty gnarly. That'd be pretty cool. But I was gonna say, look, you see a lot of this. There's like this pushback going on from, I guess, what you would call Generation Z, right? The children that are being born to the millennials. Most of these kids that were born after a certain event that took place in September of 2001. You're seeing a lot of, I would say, rebellion, rebellious sort of activity from these kids that are, if you think about it, right? So let's just take, for example, the hippie generation, right? Sort of rebelling against their parents who were all uptight in the 50s, right? And so you had the counterculture of the 60s that were born out of it. Well, now, that counterculture and all of that, they've kind of grown up to be what you would call the established sort of. So now you're seeing like an opposite counterculture being born out of this, and you have a lot of kids now that are rebelling against their millennial whiny ass parents that, and they're wanting to actually, there's like this thirst for I guess what you would call like what toxic masculinity, or just doing shit that's normal. You know what I mean? Going back to kind of an old school way of thought, right? That's appealing to kids nowadays. Like, I would say my brother is one of them. My brother's 16, and he can't stand the SJW bullshit, the politically correct shit that's just jammed down their throat on a daily basis in school, and fortunately for him, our family isn't like that. But just think about the kids that not only do they have to go to school and be subjected to all of the political correctness, all the SJW bullshit, and then they got to go home to their millennial parents who also feed them the same bullshit. And I couldn't imagine being a teenager nowadays. You know what I mean? I couldn't imagine trying to navigate all of the crazy shit that comes with being a teenager, going through puberty, the hormones, all of that shit. And then, like, what kind of situation are we in now where, I mean, can you imagine being a teenage boy now and trying to navigate the whole realm of like getting a girlfriend? And how do you manage that landmine, or that minefield with the way
YouTube and Facebook and Twitter alone, we didn't have any of that shit growing up. Like all the stupid shit that ever happened, like that wasn't around forever. It's gone unless somebody remembers it, and you could always be like, I don't know, it didn't happen that way. Your memory is faulty. YouTube, people do stupid shit when they're like 11 years old, 12 years old, right? They maybe make a dumb video, they say something they maybe regret. That shit will haunt them forever now because it's out there. It'll always be there for somebody to throw in their face.
Yeah, you have that aspect of it. Then you have the aspect of, how many of these, teenage boys are just absolutely terrified of trying to even date or ask a girl on a date or anything, because they're in the back of their mind like, what if I say the wrong thing? What if they say I did something? Or
Scott, on the flip side of that, imagine the girls as well who maybe think just a normal advance from a young guy is actually harassment because they're hearing about all this Me Too. Oh, it's a man's trying to eye me up or chat me up. That's terrible. What are you doing?
So you can already see, like Popeye said, it's part of that dividing, but it's dividing on such a base level like that to where you're not even getting basic interaction between people, a social interaction between, people like in high school, these kids or whatever. And usually, it's like high school crushes and stuff like that end up leading to marriage later on, And so you have a bunch of people who aren't dating, they're not interacting with the opposite sex, and then they're going into their 20s or 30s, they're single, they're not doing anything, and then it just keeps going down this road, man. And it's part of like this whole depopulation agenda, the breaking up of the family unit, the destruction of just kind of like the core value, the core values, it's just like,
and even Scott, it wasn't even enough having like men and women kind of like paired off against each other. Now we've got another 45 different kind of genders to divide ourselves up amongst,
Yeah, it's confusing.
They've even got, dude, they're even getting their, they go after the bigger, if you looked at it like if you could envision in your head like a tree, right? And at the top you have like the basic things, like basic groups that they want to put people in, and that's what they're going to target. And then if you branch off from each of those groups, there'll be little subgroups, and those are the ones that usually target the main group first. And then once they get that group, under control to a certain extent, or to look a certain way, or whatever their agenda is, then those groups start attacking each other too. And then there's chaos fomented there as well, because you can't have any. So remember, they come together and unify, and then they fight. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But do you see how the social engineers, the powers that shouldn't be, do you see how they manipulate things with such skill? It's incredible to watch, because people that know about this and that are aware of how this works will now act like it's a quote unquote conspiracy. And I'm so sick and tired of people misusing the term. And it's not because I've said it before. It's realistically, people, you're misusing the term. Okay, when someone does something bad, that the term conspiracy means two or more people getting together to do something bad. It's literally the dictionary definition of it. That's why when people get arrested and there's a group of them, what do they get charged with? Conspiracy. What did Jeffrey Epstein get charged with? Does anyone know? because they unsealed the indictment. Do you know what they charged him with? Conspiracy to commit sex trafficking. So I guess that would mean, by the way, it does mean Epstein was a procurer, okay? Just like Jimmy Savile was. And those are the ones, we've said this before, those are the people that get, when they've outlived their usefulness for whatever reason, they get tossed under the bus, okay? They get fed to the wolves. And all the negative attention, everyone's like, oh, Jeffrey Epstein, he's such an evil piece of shit. And he is. There's a special place in hell for that turd, right? But he's not the only one. It's all connected. What about the Clintons? Everyone's like, the mainstream media is trying so hard to make a connection with Trump and Epstein. And you know what? I know they know each other. That's fine. But let's be honest, and I'm not defending Trump at all, but let's be honest, if anyone's flown on the Lolita Express more, it's Bill Clinton. Where's that conversation? Huh? Where's that conversation? Oh, we can't have that. Oh, it's say Trump knows Epstein. But Epstein was a huge donator he donated a shit ton of money to the Clintons and to the Clinton Foundation. What about that? What about that? Pretty sure Epstein was a huge contributor to Chuck Schumer's senatorial campaign. I haven't heard Chuck Schumer say he was going to give the money back. I haven't heard Schumer say that, have you? No, you haven't.
Anyone else noticed how Storm Area 51 has kind of taken over Twitter and Facebook, and the posts about the topic you're talking about here, Popeye, are getting harder to see and harder to find, and amongst all of these Area 51 memes. But, I mean, obviously, just a coincidence, obviously, you know, that something viral like that should come along when there's a story like this doing the rounds, right?
They're manipulating it. That's what they're doing. So the Twitter stream, the Facebook streams, all that shit, if you take a step back and don't look at it like someone using social media, or let me rephrase that. If you don't look at it like somebody only using social media or just using it, if you look at it and understand the bigger picture, if you step back and you analyze it, think like they think. Don't think like you think, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? I used to say this all the time on air. Don't think like yourself when you're thinking about this stuff or when you're analyzing things, because you're going to say to yourself, you're going to miss stuff, or you're going to say your own cognitive dissonance might kick in and be like, well, there's no way because I wouldn't do that, because it's a common thing people say, well, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, but you're not them. They don't think like you. Okay. Think like a criminal would think. Put yourself in their shoes and think about what they're doing, right? They're manipulating the flow of information. They understand that the Twitterverse and Facebook and all that bullshit is a flow of information. Good, bad, or indifferent, they understand that it's a flow of information. They understand that the real way to control it is to be able to manipulate it and steer it. And in order to do that, you can do so using certain topics. You could do, there's lots of ways you can do it. One of their favorite ways, and the way they do it quite often, is certain topics. So people are talking about Epstein, they're talking about all this crazy shit. They're talking about him being a pedophile and who he's connected to and all this other stuff, right? And then all of a sudden, hashtag let's storm Area 51. For what? What are you going to find? How about hashtag let's storm Epstein's Island? How about that?
How about the Vatican? How about the Vatican? I mean, they dug up a 15-year-old girl's bones from there today, I was reading. An actual body dug up within the Vatican City. But no. We'll go and storm Area 51, despite the fact that there's probably nothing there anyway. And even if there was, you've given them, 3 months advance notice? Oh, well, the army aren't going to move anything between now and then, are they? It's ridiculous.
It shouldn't be too hard. It shouldn't be too hard to storm the Vatican. They got those guys that look like the court jesters.
Oh, we were talking about this. You don't want to get your ass kicked off one of those the Swiss Guard, dude. That's gonna look bad.
Yeah, dude. Those guys are actually really well trained.
Exactly.
Right? You storm the Vatican. How bad is it gonna look when a guy that's wearing he kind of dressed like, The Catholic
That's what I said.
Ronald McDonald kicks the shit out of you.
Exactly. That's what I said. I said it's all fun and games until you get your ass kicked by a guy in pantaloons.
Yeah, you don't
but,
want to get. I mean, look at these cats. You don't want to get leathered by somebody that looks like Woody Woodpecker with their hat, and then they've got like it's fucking ridiculous. You don't want to get leathered by them.
That would be awesome though. Watching all these assholes storm the Vatican and just watching the Swiss Guard kick the shit out of them.
I don't know. These ones here look kind of angry. I know you probably can't see it, Popeye, but they look kind of fucked up, man. Look at the weapons they've got, dude.
They're raised to be in the Swiss Guard.
They're groomed, Popeye. Did you say they're groomed to be Swiss Guards?
Yes, they're groomed. They're groomed. I wonder, why does that word keep coming up with the Catholic Church?
Oh, no, I like that. Dead in the water in the chat room. Storm your family and spend more time with them. That's pretty good advice, you know, especially now. Yep.
There you go. Storm reality. Jesus Christ, Storm Area 51. I like that. Storm your family.
Storm Buckingham Palace. Nah, the cops with SA-80s aren't even going to let you get near the fence. I tried wearing an anonymous mask near the fence of Buckingham, and I was staring down the barrel of a gun that I used to have in the army. Not a good move. And what are you going to find in Buckingham Palace? A bunch of fucking lizard skins that she's fucking shed off over the years. Fuck them. The royal family.
What are you going to find out? Proof that she actually is a reptile? I really think she is anyway, so fuck it.
Exactly. That's probably one of her clones that you see on the balcony, Scott.
Yeah. You know though, if we can't get enough people to storm the Vatican archives, maybe we can get a hold of that chronovisor. Just maybe.
Just the chronovisor.
No, you know what I could get? You know what I could get behind? I could get behind like storming the Federal Reserve.
Right? Yes. How
about storm Fort Knox and see if there's really gold?
I was gonna say there's fuck all in there, Popeye. There's nothing left, dude.
Although that would also be a bad idea.
I would say
because Fort Knox is used as a training ground. So you'd have to get through tanks, lots of heavily armed men and women.
King Sweet in the chat said, the soy boys are too weak and wimpy to even climb the Area 51 gate. They won't even make it past the first checkpoint. You know what? I'll raise you one, King Sweet. They won't even make it to the gate. The soy boys couldn't even handle being out in that desert heat. They would probably collapse.
They'll just about make it to the gate, Scott, and then you'll hear. And like the first one will go down. Then you'll hear, and then the second one will go down. There's signs on the out on the fence that say lethal force permitted and authorized.
And it isn't just there for show, folks. You know, you don't go storming military facilities. It never ends well.
They just fucking shot a guy that was trying to burn an ICE facility down. One of these Antifa shitheads. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot a gun and try to fucking throw Molotov cocktails at vehicles or whatever, or set them on fire." And then he gets shot and he dies. Well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Okay. And I'm not saying yay for ICE. What I'm saying is you shouldn't just randomly show up to a government facility and fucking set things on fire and shoot at it. That's not going to end well for you. Okay?
No, definitely
just
not.
Saying.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. But I'm liking this. There's various places we could storm the chat room. They're coming up with some good ones as well. But I'm liking this. Storm your family is the best one I've seen, though. But I think that's the best one. Yep, absolutely. Most effective. Yeah. Not going to get you hurt.
But because they don't want you to. They don't want you to think about Jeffrey Epstein. So they because again, why Nancy Pelosi's daughter, right? She's a politician. She's part of the political machine, I should say. And she's I forget what role she is, but she's part of the DNC. And she came out and released a statement. And she said, and I'm not kidding you, go look this up. It was, like a week ago, whenever all the news broke about Epstein, it was in the past week. And she said, don't be surprised if prominent names come out, but we have to, let the investigation, run through, blah, 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 blah. But when have you ever heard them put out a "don't be surprised if"? It was almost like a warning, like there might be names that come out. And then within like 72 hours, dude, no one gives a shit. Everyone's either blaming Trump. Okay, either it's Trump's fault because he knew Epstein, but never mind Bill Clinton or Chuck Schumer, right? Or Chris Rock, he was on his airplanes. A bunch of people were movie stars, politicians, musicians, right? So that kind of, I'm not saying Chris Rock is part of this. Remember, there could be somebody on the plane that's not part of it. They could take them there and try to groom them or
it's
bring
like I've
them
said
in
as well,
because that's
Popeye,
what they do.
all they could do, I mean, being on that plane, I mean, you might get there, even taking coke, doing some drugs, I mean, that might be the dirt that they get on some people. We can't just assume that everyone...
Yes, and just like Bohemian Grove, Kev, his island was wired for sound and video.
Same as Jimmy Savile's house. It's an intel operation. They probably
found out. It's a honeypot.
Yeah, they probably found out Epstein was into that anyway, because he's been into it. I mean, you don't just kind of pushed into that. And they've probably made him a deal at the start. They've said, listen, you get off with that, but you're going to work for us now. You've got your plush island, you're rubbing shoulders with all these cats. You work for us. We'll wire your house, and jobs are good.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said the last time we talked about this.
Yep.
Do you even believe that Epstein's going to go to jail?
I don't.
Probably not. And if all of a sudden there's this, oh no, Epstein committed suicide. How do you even know he committed suicide? He's probably going to be sitting back on his island under another name. All this is a data dump. This is a data dump to get all of the blackmail information on all of the politicians, left and right. It doesn't matter what side; they're all involved in this shit. This is just a way for them to get Epstein's data dump. That way, they know what they can hold over certain individuals' heads and continue to push the agenda. So they can go, look, you're not playing ball. We need to get this. We need to get this shit passed. So we can drag the country deeper into the New World Order agenda or whatever. And so if you're not going to play ball, we'll just pull up your file.
Yep.
Your data file that we got, from the whole Epstein situation, and there you go. So nobody's going to pay the price for any of this. And even if it looks like people are paying the price, that's just going to be all the window dressing and the facade that they're going to show everybody. But nobody's really going down. All this is just to get more blackmail information on politicians.
I think it's for somebody's trying to get control of his blackmail files, Scott. I think somebody's trying to get control of it. And I find it interesting. I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard he's been held in the same place as El Chapo. Can you imagine how many the two of them could bring down if they got together? I mean, you've got El Chapo running the drugs into America for all these elites and the same people that are probably going to Epstein's island in the first place. The people that they could name and shame, there must be a lot of people having sleepless nights right now. But that being said, I really don't think, and it's horrible to say, but I'm not very confident that we're going to see the kind of justice that we're all expecting is going to come here. He's got too much information to deal with, Scott.
He's not going to go to trial. Okay, he'll either die of quote-unquote suicide, or they'll make a plea deal, and it'll be sealed, and that'll be it. And you'll never, they'll tell you he's being punished, he's being sentenced to whatever, and that is it. And it's probably bullshit. And like you said, he'll probably be on his private island.
He'll be debriefed. He'll be debriefed. They'll give him a new name, and then he'll be chilling somewhere in the Caribbean. He was a procurer of young women. Okay, just like Savile was a procurer of boys. Okay, and I guess the occasional. I'm sure he probably got little girls too, but I know mostly Savile was abusing boys. And it's the same. It's not just those two, dude. It's others too. I mean, it goes back. You remember I think it was the late 80s, early 90s when the satanic ritual abuse stuff came to light. And it came to light on shows like Donahue and Oprah
and stuff like that. That's how they did their data dump back in the day, so to speak. So they already take the information or whatever. They've taken whatever info they can from it, but they know that eventually this stuff gets out, right? So they control the leak. It's the same shit I said about the Las Vegas. Remember we were covering the Vegas shooting and the quote unquote pictures were leaked by a cop who wasn't supposed to leak them. Oh, we're going to punish him. Bad cop. Bad cop. Was he ever named? Was that cop ever named? Was anybody ever told what that, I think it was a sheriff's deputy. Was anyone ever told what that deputy's name was, or what his job was, what his position was, what his rank was? Does anyone know anything about that individual? No, just that some quote unquote sheriff's deputy leaked the photos of the crime scene. So look, we have his dead body. There's guns, and it's on the, it's overlooking the shooting, the crime scene. And you can see all the bullet casings laying around. All the shell casings are laying all over the place. There's ammo stacked up all over the fucking place. Don't mind the fact that the guns are laying strategically placed like over the guy's legs. That it looks like he sat down and like put them over him and then let them shoot him in the fucking head or something. No, he shot himself in the head, even though it totally doesn't look like that. But the picture that's taken is of like his head and partially up of his upper torso, so you can identify it as him. And oh, look, he's shot.
Well, if we weren't demonetized before, we surely will be now. Big shout out to Unirock in the chat room. Uni, remember I was telling you about the guy that trained Tracy Beans?
Right, let's get something straight, okay? Let's get something straight. I have nothing to do with any cute artery. I trained a lot of you how to do radio. You turned out fine. Scott turned out fine. Okay.
So, the one that got away then, Popeye.
Okay, I take that back. You two are somewhat psychotic, but that's besides the point.
Oh, too funny, dude. Too funny. Nah, we were on.
I have nothing to do with that Q shit.
No, we were on a stream with Uni one time, and we were explaining to him about you and your connection to Beans, and you know what we decided in the end. I think it was Joe actually. He decided that there's actually a good similarity between the way you do your work, Popeye, and the way Uni does his. Very, very similar, Scott. Right? Take no bullshit. Call things out. A spade's a spade. You smell a rat, you go after it. The two of you are like peas in a pod, man. In fact, I might go as far as say Uni could be the love child of Popeye. Could he? He's got the beard. He's got the beard thing happening.
I probably have a couple kids running around out there somewhere.
Oh man. But yeah, if you're tuning in late, folks, we did rip apart the whole Bond thing at the start, and then we got into, well, you've seen where we've ended up now. It was inevitable we would get here at some point, but yeah, awesome stuff, man. It was inevitable, Popeye. You knew it.
Yeah, there's always some hilarity. Look, we kid, we love to joke, but the message, like when we get serious, the message is real. It's dude, it's. I know I was joking around. I was like, this is why I moved to the woods, but kind of, it's not a joke. I'm as self-sufficient as I can get right now, and I'm trying to get even a little bit more self-sufficient. But trust me when I say where I'm at now is way better of a spot. Where I live, dude, most people don't get cell phone signal. It's fucking great.
I have seen
awesome.
I have seen where Popeye is locating to, and he is located in prime Sasquatch country.
Really?
Yep.
Yes, definitely. Yes, like I would totally not be surprised if Popeye.
What are they called in Florida? Is it the skunk ape down there? What do they call them in your neck of the woods, Popeye?
Yes, the skunk ape. And I can tell you, look, you guys can laugh at Bigfoot all you want, but there's more than enough fucking evidence out there that there's something big and hairy and very smelly.
You ain't gonna get us. You ain't gonna get us laughing at Bigfoot, dude.
I would not be surprised, honestly. Total truth. I'm surprised if Popeye has a skunk ape experience within the next 5 years.
There's a museum up in North Georgia. It's called I think it's called the Sasquatch Experience, or I think it's the Sasquatch or the Bigfoot. I think it's called the Sasquatch Experience. It's in North Georgia. It's up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And it is one of the coolest museums. It's not a campy roadside bullshit attraction. It is a legitimate research museum dedicated to Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti, whatever you want to call it. I think what the Chinese had, they call it the Yaren. Whatever you want to call it, they have. It's just a massive museum. They have replicas of foot casts. There's got to be like 30 or 30, 40 of them. They have them in glass cases all around. They have audio recordings from real scientists, and people have gone out in the woods in audio. I think one of the guys was an audio engineer or something, but they spent a couple weeks in the woods camping and recording the sounds that supposedly these things make. And there's different accounts of people getting attacked, different stories, stuff about Florida, newspaper article. It's all sorts of stuff. It might come off kind of, people could a Bigfoot museum. It sounds kind of campy and cheesy. It's not. It's not at all. It's worth driving through the Blue Ridge Mountains of Georgia to go see. It really is. Anyone that I know that has traveled in the past few months, I've told about it. And I know someone that just recently stopped and they thought it was awesome. And they're not even, they're not huge Bigfoot nerds like Tina and I are, or, like you two.
No. We're kind of nerdish that way. And a big shout out to Nano in the chat room. I haven't seen you for so long. We need to get you back on here. But Popeye, something that's really interesting more about kind of national parks and forests these days, right, is we often talk about it, Scott, the people going missing. And you've got David Paulides, he does all the books, the 411 missing stuff. That shit's fascinating, dude. Some of those stories, it's head scratching stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people going missing in the forest thing.
There's too many, Scott.
There's so many, and then it's there's so many possibilities, right? And then there's so many that are totally unexplained. Because I could see people obviously getting snatched by a predator animal or something like that. I mean, of course.
And Scott, you could have people maybe just want to run off and start a new life and shit. Maybe shit going on,
Yeah, you have people that don't want to be found, right? You just have some people that just they do all they can to not be found and to try and stay, basically off the grid and just disappear. So you got that aspect too. But then you also have to take into account a lot of the more weird stuff, a lot of the woo, I guess you could say. There's so much forest area, there's so much land that actually hasn't been explored, really, that really hasn't even been touched. And who knows what's out there? I mean, we talk about these, natural energetic points on the planet, ley lines, things like that, certain spots that could have natural energies that open up portals and weird things like that. And people may come across this stuff while they're out there hiking or trekking through the forest, and you come across something weird like that and you end up getting blipped out of this realm.
Yep. Nana in the chat room brought up a good one. Dyatlov Pass, the story about that one. You guys will have heard that one, right?
Yeah, that's a classic, And remember, I think the last time we talked about it, it was mainstream. I think it was mainstream researchers trying to explain it by saying, oh, well, it was a Russian rocket that was fired and it startled a herd of deer, and it was the startled herd of deer ran down and trampled the campers and all of that stuff. And I mean, that was ridiculous because there's so many things about the bodies that absolutely don't make sense and wouldn't even fit into the whole, well, trampled by deer situation. Why did the bodies look like they were mutilated almost in the same way that like the cattle mutilations are? It had that same sort of vibe to it. I guess you could say that there's like a lot of similarities between the way cattle mutilations are and the way some of those bodies were found. And weren't some of them
What if they were
burnt?
mutilating the cattle to take radiation samples? Or let me rephrase that. What if they were mutilating the cattle to take samples of organs that they know accumulate certain types of radiation in? And that's what they were doing after all the bomb testing and everything. Because Tina and I had a conversation about this, and she brought this up to me years ago, and I can't remember the title of the book right now. But if she were with me, because I'm on the road, if she were with me, I would just ask her. But it was, I'll have to.
No. Did we lose the... did we lose the...
I'm here.
Hey.
I hit a pocket of bad signal.
I was going to show people pictures of like the cattle mutilations, but no, you don't need to see them. You know what these kind of things look like. Whoa.
Well, Kev, look at them. They're surgically precise.
Yeah.
Right? And they're always the same spots of the body that are taken. So it's certain body parts that are removed, like the reproductive organs and things like that, to check to see
the jaw. The jaw seems to be common, like
affecting them.
The side of the face, the jaw, it seems to be a common location as well, and I don't get that. I understand the organs, what you were saying there, Popeye, but
they're checking their bones and their teeth. If you look, there's been, and Tina could better tell you the names of all the people that did this, but there was research done on children's teeth, and like levels of radiation in them. Kids had been exposed to radiation, and it correlated to diseases and everything. And I'm totally mutilating it, like Tina could tell you better. But the point is, that's what they're doing, is they're taking like jawbone, they're taking teeth, they're taking things that they know, body parts that they know that certain types of radioactive material and isotopes will reside in. And they're checking the levels, because remember, the cows eat the grass. Where does the grass come from? The ground. Well, what did they do right above the ground? Lit off a shit ton of nukes, right? They just admitted recently, I saw an article, I don't know, a month ago, and it was in one of the mainstream publications. They actually admitted, oh yeah, there's still radiation in the atmosphere from the bomb tests. Yeah, no shit. About 85% of it is still, or something high like that, is still floating around. Tina knows the exact number. I think it's like 80 or 85% or something around there of the radiation from all the atmospheric bomb testing and shit that they did.
Exactly.
Is still floating around.
Yeah, I brought that up not too long ago, that all of that nuclear testing, a lot of those particles will never hit the ground. They just get caught up into they just get caught and carried into the stratosphere, and then they constantly circle the earth, all the time.
Right, and then people go in jet airplanes and fly through it and get bathed in that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just getting bombarded with it because it's passing right through the plane. Sometimes the planes, certain types of particles might adhere statically. Sometimes they travel, things will be small enough, they'll penetrate the plane and they penetrate you. And when I say penetrate you, think about on a microscopic atomic level, having tiny little radioactive particles literally shredding you. Tiny piece by tiny little piece. You don't feel it, but it's having a damaging effect on you. And eventually you develop things like cancer or some other sort of disease or malfunction or problem. Radiation is no joke. And this shit now, that's another thing they've turned around. People are like, we should get rid of fossil fuels and just build more nuke power plants because it's obviously the cleanest way to go. Yeah, because, Fukushima didn't happen. Chernobyl didn't happen. St. Louis isn't sitting on top of a radioactive waste dump. I mean, half of that area. Remember a couple of years ago, I was talking to the people, the Westlake moms, and all these other families that were being horribly affected by the radioactive waste from World War II, from the Manhattan Project. That shit is still causing problems today. What makes us think it's gotten any better? It hasn't.
Is that fire still burning? Because they said that thing was going to burn for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
crazy.
As far as I know, they never put it out. I don't, Tina and I have been kind of disconnected because, she had her medical issues and she got surgery and everything, and she's been recovering, and we've kind of been unplugged from a lot of people that we were connected to. So, and you don't see anything in the news, but the last time I checked that I knew of, it wasn't out yet. Now that was a couple years ago. Is it still burning? Probably.
Probably.
And it was a trash fire. It was an underground trash fire. They had the trash dump right next to a nuke waste dump. And the trash fire was burning its way towards the nuke waste dump. And the government was like, don't worry about it.
Come on,
just for the people that don't know what we're talking about.
Come on. Uranium, it's the best way to boil water to get that steam going, to turn the turbines. It's a really safe way of doing things, right?
Oh, dude, you should. That's the argument. I mean, that's the new. It's like, no, we should totally build more nuke plants. Like, you people are so uneducated, and when you challenge them on it, they're like, no, you're just fear mongering. There's a guy named Galen Windsor, and remember. God. Tina discussed Galen Windsor. The guy died of multiple forms of cancer. So
I don't know if people.
I don't know if people. Uranium,
I don't know if people were trying to trigger me or what, Popeye. But after we done that show with you and Radchick, which was brilliant, by the way, would love to get Radchick back on anytime. But people were actually messaging me on Twitter and things, asking if I'd heard of that guy, and I'm thinking to myself, I'd never heard of this dude until Popeye brought him up, and now people are determined to tell me that nuclear is safe. What the fuck is wrong with people,
I know, because he was like, look, I'll eat uranium. And who knows if it really even was uranium, but the guy died of multiple forms of cancer. So at the very least, I'm going to guess that eating fucking uranium, if he really was doing so, wasn't a healthy option.
I'm saying I would say it's probably up there with the MMS bleach kind of scandal. Just pour some bleach down your throat. That'll be fine. That gets rid of everything.
By the way, people, back in the day, doctors used to say, 9 out of 10 doctors choose Winston. Now cigarette smoking is known to cause cancer, but hey, the doctors 50 years ago said it was okay.
It's like the meme where it's like, okay, kids, let me spray some settled science DDT on you.
Right? Yeah, seriously. Like, DDT's fine. Stop, bunch of pussies. Meanwhile, everyone's getting cancer.
Yep.
Seriously, remember 10 years ago, GMO's totally fine. Now Monsanto's a dirty word. Oh, wait, Monsanto's gone, right? Didn't they go out of business? I never hear of them anymore. Oh, that's right. They got bought out by the Bayer Corporation, the company that makes aspirin. By the way, the Bayer Corporation has an interesting history. You do know that they were part of the Nazi war machine. Right? They were part of IG Farben.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dropping truth bombs like that, Popeye.
There. Yeah. So take 2 Bayer aspirin to prevent a heart attack. But not to prevent the Holocaust.
Oh man.
I love
and I can say that because I'm not making fun of anybody. For anyone that's going to go, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna stem it off now. Fuck everyone. Okay, my grandmother was a Dutch Jew in a concentration camp, and thank God she survived. So fuck everyone. Okay, I can make fun of the Nazis if I want.
Oh, God.
My family's earned the fucking right.
So, folks, if
my grandmother had her face smashed in by a fucking MP5 submachine gun because she refused to watch a public execution. So, just for people that are all authoritarian and shit, okay? If you ever wonder why I don't like the man, there's your fucking reason. I have a familial history, / problem with authoritarian douchebaggery, okay? I grew up seeing the results of it and what my poor grandmother went through. She became a fucking alcoholic because of the PTSD that she suffered because of the shit that she went through. So fuck everyone that's, Pop, I can't make jokes. Yeah, I can. I can make fun of them. I can piss on them. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Okay? Fuck Bear. Fuck IG Farben. And guess what? Those Nazis, those scumbags that did all those horrible things that we beat in World War II, we didn't beat them. We beat the German military. Our government then imported the fucking Nazis over here, and they made NASA. Nazis, NASA, starts with an NA, right?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Popeye. It's just a coincidence, you know?
Right? Werner von Braun, total fucking war criminal. Hey, he founded NASA. That guy's a great guy. Father of rocketry. Yeah, he was awesome. He was also in charge of, remember, not all the camps were not just, by the way, it wasn't just Jews. There was political enemies. There was, prisoner of war camps. But if you were a prisoner of the Third Reich, right, they used you as slave labor. So when our allied fucking bombers would come in World War II and carpet bomb the fuck out of things, and we're like, yes, we're killing evil Germans, you probably killed a couple of hundred soldiers, but you probably killed about 20,000 prisoners. And maybe that number is high. Let's say like 5,000 or 10,000 prisoners at least per raid. You can look it up. You'll see. They gave up, they fucking gave up 20,000 prisoners of war, American, and about another 25,000 English prisoners of war. So, that includes the Scottish and anyone else conscripted into the, British military. They gave them at the end of World War II, they gave them to Stalin. They were in German prison camps. And the Russians had, quote unquote, liberated the camps. They took over the camps, and they weren't releasing the prisoners. So instead of us being like, hey, fuck you, give us our guys back, we were supposed to be on the same team or having some sort of negotiation. No, they gave them to them. They let them keep them as slave labor, and they took those prisoners back to Russia as slave labor, and no one ever heard from them again. That's a true story. You want to read more on it, learn more about it, go read a book called Target Patton by a man I've interviewed multiple times named Robert Wilcox. If you want to go listen to the interviews I did with him, they're on YouTube. I'd say to go to PopeyeRadio.com right now, but I don't even know if the site's up because it keeps getting knocked down. I don't know what the hell's going on. So I've been trying to slowly put my stuff. I got a couple of old episodes up on SoundCloud, but I'm out. I've been in the process of moving, so I really haven't been focusing on any of that shit. But if you go to YouTube, the interview should still be there with Robert Wilcox on my channel.
Not David.
Type in Target Patton.
I hope he's not related to David Wilcox, is he? God, that would be unfortunate.
No, this Wilcox is smart.
That's okay then, dude. That's okay. Usually when I hear the name Wilcox, oh man, I get creeps up my spine,
Yeah, no, he wrote about Patton's assassination, and there was so much, stuff that was that branches off of that, which is one of the things I just told you. That was one of the things that pissed off Patton. Patton was going to retire, and he was rich, like he was independently wealthy. His family had money, so he didn't need his pension from the military. So he was going to retire, tell them to stick their pension up their ass, and he was going to run for political office and open his mouth. And then he suddenly dies in a quote unquote car accident. Sure, but he didn't die in the car accident. It just broke his neck, and he died in the hospital. Even though he was getting better and he was about to fly home, suddenly he just died. Yeah, because that happens. But anyway.
Because that's the way it rolls, Popeye, So listen, guys, we've gone well over our 90 minutes today, Scott. Well over our 90 minutes. So, Popeye, anything else you want to get off your chest while you're here, man? You're in good ranting form tonight, dude. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I know. I kind of took over your...
No, dude. No, not at all, man. We got through the stories we had. We got through the stories we had. It was James Bond that had really pissed me off today. Not James Bond, but the whole woman being a 007 thing. So I managed to rant about that at the start. You guys added to that rant. You enhanced the rant with your information. So I'm a happy camper. I was saying to people in the chat room, I think it's one of the better streams we've had in a good while, dude. So it's been brilliant, man.
Well, thank you for letting me like hijack it and go off. I haven't gotten a chance to rant, and I got to tell you, man, it's frustrating to see a lot of the stuff that I see going on, especially from like when you see it from the perspective of doing what we, streaming, doing it all the time, doing what I used to do, like radio and stuff. It's one thing, but when you have that experience and then you unplug and you take a step back and you're seeing everything and you're just watching everything play out, and I gotta say, when we say the powers that shouldn't be, when we say these people are stupid or they don't know, they're so inept, they could never do this, that's a fallacy. It really is. Don't fall for it. Don't allow yourself to convince yourself of that, because it's not true. That's cognitive dissonance. That's my government would never do that. Yes, they would. Okay. Yeah, they would definitely kill over 3,000 of their own citizens in one day to push an agenda. Okay. And they would also then lie and tell everybody, go ahead, go back to normal, go back to shop. Because
Popeye,
we need the economy.
Popeye,
breathe the air.
It wasn't like, 6 months before that, they blatantly said they needed like something like that to happen, a new Pearl Harbor or something. It's not like they told us beforehand they were planning something,
That's my favorite piece of evidence to tell people. I'll get into a conversation with somebody about this and I'll casually bring up 9/11. And they'll be like, because, they know my history. I was a firefighter. They know I was in the Coast Guard. So they'll be like, okay, we'll get in the subject of 9/11. And they're like, yeah, but I'm like, yeah, what if I told you that it didn't happen the way you think? Oh, God, what are you, one of those people? And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to put this out there. Or, people that don't even have any thoughts on the matter. I have a good friend of mine is a retired Army major. And I said to him, Major, just put this in your brain and let it sit and think about this for a second. He's like, okay, go ahead. I said, don't you think it's coincidental that before the Bush administration was the Bush administration, but a little bit more than a year before they came into office, a group called the Project for a New American Century, a think tank, put out a white paper talking about rebuilding America's defenses. And that's actually the title of the white paper, was Rebuilding America's Defenses. And they put out this whole agenda of how they wanted to revamp the military and completely change it. And we were kind of going to get back into being like how Rome was and going on campaigns and doing all this shit. And they knew that nobody would want to do this. They knew that nobody in the United States would be down for this, because at that time, in 2000, that we were on a different footing. It had just become 2000. It was a whole
Dude, it was a different bloody world. It was literally a different world. There was a world pre 9/11, and then there's been this shit show since it.
Yes, it was like it was literally, people were like all about like peace, love, and harmony is how I like to say it. And there is pre 9/11 and post 9/11, and then they had an agenda. They wanted to create what you see now. In fact, they wanted it even more hardcore, faster, but they couldn't push it too fast. So they had a set of agendas and goals that they wanted to reach. Right now, I'm going to pause you. This is a little bit long-winded, and then I'll let you guys go. But this is important. So I have to pause it for a second, because remember, in any negotiation, what they do, they look at it like it's a negotiation. It's a mental negotiation for them with us, okay? But it's manipulation. So in a negotiation, like if you were going to buy a house, right? And you want, say you're in the middle of buying a house and the inspection period comes up, and something comes up and you find something and maybe you need new AC. AC is about $6-7 grand. So you say, well, the house is $150,000, but it needs this much work to it, a couple other things. So how about, and you're already under contract, you're already kind of going down the line,
and then now you start negotiating, right? And you want to remove a certain amount of money from the value of the house or what you're going to pay for it, so that you can use whatever money you don't finance for that to do the repairs, right? So you get the owner to maybe drop. You want to say you want the owner to take $10,000 off the house. Well, you're not going to say to the guy, I want you to drop it by 10,000, because they're going to counter offer you, because it's a negotiation, and they'll say, oh, well, how about I give you, 5 off? And you say, no, okay, 75. Well, you still didn't get what you wanted, right? And maybe he gives you the 7,500 off, but you still didn't get what you wanted, right? So you shoot higher than what you want. You say, oh, I want like 15 grand off. Let the guy knock you down to like 8. And you go, okay, how about we settle at 10? Okay, see, so you actually get what you really wanted, right? You manipulated the situation to get what you really, well, that's what they're doing. They're doing the same thing. So their agenda, they know that they want this massive police state, right? And, they love the China model, so to speak, as they always say, but they can't force that on us so fast. So they have to do it incrementally. They couldn't have done any of this without 9/11. So this white paper, now with that in mind, getting back to rebuilding America's defenses, they write in this white paper, they clearly write, the Project for a New American Century, they say all of this huge, vast turnover in the way we think, because it wasn't just foreign policy, it was also domestic policy. So foreign and domestic, right? This huge, massive change in both foreign and domestic policy. It's going to take a very long time unless we have, and I think the exact terminology was, it didn't say, it wasn't the word barring, it was basically if they, and this part is verbatim, they needed a quote unquote catalyzing and catastrophic new event, such as a new Pearl Harbor. So they actually said, we need a catalyzing and catastrophic event. Now, what was 9/11? What was 9/11? Was 9/11 a catastrophic and catalyzing event? I'm pretty sure it was, right?
I think it ticks both those boxes pretty much, yeah. Big
Right.
time.
Now, would you find it coincidental that the very same group of individuals that wrote this white paper, that were involved in this think tank that wrote this white paper, would it surprise you to learn that many of them were in the Bush administration? Little over a year later, they were now ranking members of the Bush administration when 9/11 occurred.
I missed your question, dude. I missed your question. I was busy telling Scott I'm not even going to bother appealing the monetization decision for this video. There's absolutely fucking no chance.
Do you find it any coincidence that the very same people that wrote the white paper were then in the Bush administration a little over a year later when 9/11 happened?
Just a coincidence, dude. Nothing to see here. Don't worry about it, man.
Right.
Yeah,
right, because
and then how many people died in Pearl Harbor, and then you combine that, or you compare that to how many people died in 9/11, and
here I got a question for you. Who's a bigger terrorist? If you believe the official story, right? Okay. Who's a bigger terrorist? Osama bin Laden and the Al Qaeda / Cobra, organization, and I say Cobra for anybody that's familiar with G.I. Joe as a sarcastic, punch at it, because they act like bin Laden had some Cobra command base built into the side of a mountain and launch rockets and shit out of it in his private airplane and everything else. The guy really directed 9/11 with a sat phone and a laptop from a fucking cave in Afghanistan.
Hang on a minute.
75% of their targets with military precision.
Hang on, dude.
Sure.
Listen. The way the world's going right now, when we look back at who carried out that famous day in 2001, it's not going to be a daft man. It's going to be a woman. It's going to be a woman that done it, man. Men can't fly planes like that. Only women can do it. God,
right? It'll be a female Osama bin Laden.
See, when they make the reboot of the Bin Laden movie, right? about the SEAL team going in and taking out Bin Laden. They're gonna
Be
cast
Jessica Bin Laden. It'll be like
Yeah.
Jessica Bin Laden. She'll be a blonde girl with blue eyes.
Yep.
Exactly.
Definite,
Right.
dude.
No, well, you see, so like my point is like they didn't do 9/11, right? Like, come on. I mean, stop. Like, they didn't do it, right? And so, but if you believe the official story, okay, who's a bigger terrorist? If you believe the official story, is it Al Qaeda and Bin Laden who killed a little over 3,000 citizens on that day in the terror attack, right? If you believe the official story, or is it the federal government and the Bush administration at the time, who said through Christy Todd Whitman, the former governor of New Jersey, who was then head of the EPA, that the air, and I quote, the air is safe to breathe. Unquote. Let me repeat that. The air is safe to breathe. Go ahead. You don't need respirators. Oh, don't worry about diseases. Nobody will get sick. And we've lost more first responders and more people, not just first responders, not just the people that were on the pile, but people that were exposed to all of that debris that was blowing around in the streets, all the people that lived in the area, the high schools, everything, all those people, regular everyday citizens, not just the first responders. If you look at it like, well, they're firefighters or they're cops and they signed up to do a dangerous job. Okay. Did the citizens sign up to do a dangerous job by being a citizen of the city? No, I don't believe they did. We've lost more people from illnesses due to the dust and the toxic stew that people inhaled and were exposed to that day and in the days afterwards and the months afterwards, not just the days, but days, weeks, and months afterwards. Okay. We've lost more people than we did that day. And I'm not saying or poo-pooing on the memory of any of those people. Anyone knows 9/11 was my catalyzing, like, waking up event. It was the thing that woke me up and set me on my journey to do what I've done. Okay. I take 9/11 very personally. I helped out as best I could. No, I didn't do anywhere near what others did. And I take it personally. I can only imagine how people that were even closer to it, how it affected them. I know how it affected me over the years. Okay. And the, like, horrific guilt that I had from it. But we've lost more people, good people, really good people, everyday people, people that didn't sign up to get killed or die of some horrific disease later on. Okay. Just like they said, my family didn't sign up to be a soldier in a war and they were killed, and, we need to get these bad guys. But none of those people signed up to die of horrific diseases from asbestos and concrete dust and all the other crap that was floating around in the air from the computers and the mercury and the switches and the lights and everything else. Any radioactive material in the exit signs. Yeah, that's a thing. You should check into that. Anyway, they didn't sign up. We lost more people from the illnesses than we lost on that day due to the quote unquote terrorism. So if you believe in the official conspiracy theory, because, by the way, the official version of events that day is by definition a conspiracy theory, right? Because their theory is that 19 guys, the 19 hijackers, and Bin Laden conspired to fly airplanes into buildings and create terror and chaos. That is the official government conspiracy theory. So you have to believe a conspiracy theory. It just depends on which one you choose to subscribe to. Most people choose to believe the government version because, hey, cognitive dissonance. That's why my government would never do something that big. But they did. Even if you don't believe that they were responsible for the event. They killed more people than on the event that day by telling them, go ahead, you can breathe the air.
People always ask me, well, what's my problem then? Why don't I think it happened the way I was told? I've got no idea what happened, but the one thing I know for a fact is it isn't the way they told us. Absolutely not the way they told us. And there's that many different theories and ideas out there, which I think was done on purpose. The fact that people did catch on quickly. There was a whole heap of disinfo, misinfo, kind of woven into all of the narratives that were out there. And will we get closer to the truth? Who knows what happened that day, but it certainly wasn't the way that the governments told us it went down, you know? And who was bin Laden? Tim Osman. Who was Tim Osman? He was the CIA's guy when they were fighting the bloody Russians in Afghanistan. He headed up the Mujahideen. You see him getting weapons from the American government. He was the darling of the Americans. Who built up the bin Laden family? Why are they multi-billionaires? Oh, because they were chosen to build all the bloody air bases for like the Americans. They're an inside job. That's a definite inside job, you know?
Who do you think built the embassy in Iraq after we invaded it? You know that huge embassy in Iraq? You know who built that?
The Bin Laden Building Corporation.
I couldn't make this shit up.
No.
And people are like, yeah, that's conspiracy theory. No, it's not. It's not at all. It really isn't. It's not. It's a game, people. We are played. It's kabuki theater. It is all bullshit.
You know, we might be 18 years on, but I still think that's part of the reason, not the main reason, why there's so many baseless, factless conspiracies out there now. You know, to make the whole genre, everything, way back to 9/11 and JFK, to make all of it look even more ridiculous than when they just used to call it a conspiracy theory. Look at what they can point to now. And they lump all of that in with 9/11, JFK, and make it all look retarded and stupid.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what Flat Earth's one of those things that it's for. And it's literally, that's why I've said from day one, it's a psyop. It's to make it, back in the day, they used to be like, what do you believe in, Flat Earth too? Ha, ha, ha. But there was nobody out there talking about it. So you could easily refute that argument and, you know, poo-poo it. It was a straw man argument. And you could easily shit can it and point out that it was a straw man argument and continue on. Now, you can't say, oh, there's no such thing. You know, people don't talk about that because there's literally people that are like, no, the earth is flat and we're just traveling upwards. And there's a, you know, basically we're like a snow globe. And, you know, we're traveling upwards, or some people think we're on a turtle's fucking back, or we're in an ice bowl, or whatever the fuck bullshit they believe. I mean, it's retarded, but it's because, and I'm not making, you know, you can't make fun of the people that believe that. I know you want to. I will, if someone tries to debate me on it and tries to, like, you know, quote unquote school me, well, then I'll probably, you might get made fun of a little bit. But I mean, fuck, it cost me 2 radio shows and I wasn't even making fun of anybody. I was using logic, and it cost me radio shows because, you know, nobody likes to get made to look like a schmuck on their own network when they bring up a stupid fucking point and they're told repeatedly, no. I mean, K Bono, who benefits? Who benefits from telling everybody the earth is round, but it's really flat? How does that benefit them in any way? It doesn't change whether or not 9/11 happened or could have happened, right? It doesn't change nukes or nuke waste, doesn't change pollution, it doesn't change martial law, it doesn't change anything. So how is it, if the earth was flat, okay, how is that why, not even how, why is it a grand conspiracy to convince us otherwise? Why?
Popeye, you taught me rule number 1. Key bono. You know?
Right.
Who benefits from this, man?
Right. Like 9/11, I could tell you fucking 100 different things that, you know, I mean, look at all this shit that happened, right? Like, okay, fine. That's why, like, the official conspiracy theory versus the government's or the official government conspiracy theory versus any, you know, any of the theories out there that have merit, or let me rephrase that. The government's official version their conspiracy theory versus the conspiracy theory that the government did it or let it happen, right? Which one has more evidence to support it? The second one. Believe it or not, the fucking second one. Because when you look at the government's evidence for the first one, like with the collapse of Building 7, they used the expression, and then a miracle occurred. That's how they explained the collapse of Building 7 without being hit by a fucking plane and without having any significant damage. Well, there was damage from fire and, some debris. Dude, Building 7 was a government building. It had a fucking CIA headquarters in it that was the only one bigger than it in the country was Langley itself. Okay? That's where Giuliani's emergency operations center was. And then all of a sudden it was abandoned. That building was built to take a beating, and it wasn't hit by a plane. How did Building 7 collapse at free fall speed? Buildings can only collapse at free fall speed if you cut the support columns, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you've seen controlled demolitions 100 times on TV or video. Why is it so, it's crazy. They would never do that. They'd never, you weirdos, they can't remotely control airplanes. Really? We can remotely control a rover on Mars, but remotely flying a jetliner is beyond the reason of anyone to think that could actually possibly happen. Right? Right. But the rover on Mars is totally plausible. But remotely flying a jet, no. Newsflash, we were remotely flying aircraft in the 60s. If you don't think so, go read a little ditty called Operation Northwoods, where they talked about taking a remotely flown aircraft and blowing it up over the Straits of Florida, in between Florida and Cuba. They were going to take a real aircraft, hijack it, land it at a secret military base, take a plane that was painted to look like the aircraft, fly it up in the sky, and blow it up, blaming it on Cuba as a pretext to invade and nuke. Nuke! Curtis LeMay wanted to fucking nuke Cuba. It's 90 miles from Miami, or Key West. It's 90 miles from Key West. The Keys are right. Are you kidding me? They wanted to nuke it. The only reason it didn't happen was because John F. Kennedy. So they blew his head off in Dealey Plaza for that and a few other things. Operation Northwoods, go look it up. They were going to remotely fly aircraft in the 60s. So to think that they couldn't do it in 2001, that doesn't make sense. That's like if we went from today's smartphone back to using landlines. And then
just conveniently, like not even 2-3 years later, what are the military using? Unmanned controlled aerial vehicles all over the battlefield.
Bro, seriously, they were using the planes flying in the towers. Oh my God, we're under attack. We need to totally dump all this money into research and development. And 6 months later, they're like, look, we have these drones. Yeah, because I'm sure you just totally built those. Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that hasn't been a black budget item for a while.
Well,
right?
Here you go, right? When I was in Norway in 96, I was embedded with the Marines, and the reason we were there was to try out the Rapier missile system. And the Rapier missile was ground-to-air missiles, and what they were shooting down wasn't real aircraft, ladies and gentlemen. They were unmanned aerial fucking drones in 96, 97. So, yeah, we definitely had the ability to do shit like that. I seen drones in 96, 97. I was watching them getting shot out of the sky as we were testing fucking missiles, so we definitely had that technology.
That's how they test the Sea Whiz. The Sea Whiz is an anti-missile defense, anti-aircraft defense that ships have. It's like a massive Gatling gun, but for a ship. And it shoots 25 millimeter ammo. And it's like, bzzz, right? It's ridiculous. Okay. They use drones to hone in the targeting system when they have to tweak it, right? And they gotta make sure everything's on point. They want to check it. They set it up. They'll have you'll be in a certain area. They'll bring drones in. Bzzz, good night.
And Popeye, let's not even get into the fact, the X-Files spin-off series. I got this from the chat room, stole it from the chat room. The Lone Gunman, American Prisoner. It's not like they showed us beforehand what they were going to do or anything like that,
It's actually the pilot episode of the series. You should go watch the rest of the series too, because there's other. I think they only had it was 1 or 2 seasons of it, but it's an interesting show because some of it's kind of funny and campy, but there is.
Well, I was actually going to get
thrown
that.
in.
See that Dean Haglund that was in X-Files, and he was in that. He had the kind of shaggy hair. He was one of the crew. Yeah. I was going to get him on the show. He was one of the guys. Yeah, he was going to come on the show at one point, but he was down under at the time. That was maybe a year and a half or so ago. I think I'll try and reach out to him again. He's a friend.
You should try to reach it. You should try to reach out to him, dude. Because
he's friends with Clyde Lewis and Ron Patton. He offered to try and help me get him on one time, and he was up for it. He was going to come on, but you know how it goes, one thing after another, and you lose touch. So yeah, that'd be an interesting interview, dude.
He admitted that the CIA gave Chris Carter scripts.
Yep.
He said in other interviews that they gave him scripts, and in fact, the script for that episode was totally not written by that. It was given to him by the CIA, and then I think it was like, I want to say 11 months later or 10 months later, 9/11 happens. And if people, I know whoever in the chat, high five to you. If people don't know, the basic premise of it is that a rogue element inside the CIA hijacks an airliner, and they're going to remotely fly it into the World Trade Center in order to have a fundraiser. A fundraiser is because they need more money for R&D and new toys. And the only way they're going to get it is if there's a reason for them to have it. Okay, so they have to make a justification for them to have new toys. Sometimes.
Well, we can listen. We'll listen to a little clip of it just quickly. Take a listen to this, folks.
We know it's a war game scenario that it has to do with airline counterterrorism. Why is it important enough to kill for?
Because it's no longer a game.
It's too quiet. You can't really hear it, but he explains to him there. He's the guy from the government. He explains to him why they do it and shit. It's really good. If anyone hasn't watched that, you need to watch it.
Yeah, it's Byers' dad is like in the CIA, and he's the guy that wears the suit, the young guy that wears the suit with the beard, and his dad is like in the CIA or whatever. And his dad ends up playing a part in the X-Files too. Same character. And if I remember correctly, I think they kill him off. I think they actually kill him off in the Lone Gunman series. If you watch the whole first season, sometime during the series, I think they end up killing his father off. But it's the same premise as the movie The Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson. I think Samuel L. Jackson. I think that was him in that movie. I know Gina Davis was in it. I think that was him. She plays like in the beginning of the movie, she's like a mom. She's cooking and stuff, and you see her. They're like cooking in the kitchen, and she has she ends up having an accident. Something happens, and she starts to have like memory flashes or whatever. And I can't remember exactly what happens. She gets a head wound. I think she got in an accident or something, and they might have tried killing her. And I think maybe that's what ended up waking her up. But she was basically a super spy, and she was like put through, something happened to her and she ended up with amnesia. I think they tried killing her and she ended up with amnesia, and then she ended up like falling through the cracks or whatever. And then somehow she gets her memory back and remembers everything. And she realizes that the CIA is in cahoots with terrorists. They fund terrorists now instead of chasing them down. They fund them and help create them in order to have a boogeyman. And the people that she used to work with were going to blow up a chemical truck on a bridge, and it was going to cause a massive explosion and take out the bridge. And it was either I think it was a bridge, and they were going to do it in like rush hour traffic and take out all these people.
I've got it now.
And
I've got it now, dude. I've got it now. 2 secs. It only takes a couple of minutes. You'll hear the start of this, folks, and you'll get it.
What the hell are you doing? I can just stay out of this. Leave me buried.
What is scenario 12D? We know it's a war game scenario, that it has to do with airline counterterrorism. Why is that important enough to kill for?
because it's no longer a game.
If some terrorist group wants to act out this scenario, why target you for assassination?
Depends on who your terrorists are.
The men who conceived of it in the first place. You're saying our government plans to commit a terrorist act against a domestic airline?
There you go. Indicting the entire government as usual. It's a faction. A small faction.
For what possible gain?
The Cold War's over, John. But with no clear enemy to stockpile against, the arms market's flat. But bring down a fully loaded 727 into the middle of New York City, and you'll find a dozen tin pot dictators all over the world just clamoring to take responsibility and begging to be smart bombed.
I can't believe it. This is about increasing arms sales. When?
Tonight?
Well, that'll give us the idea. I'll drop the link in for people to check out. Roosevelt, he's wow in the chat room. Yeah, dude. This is one that definitely needs to be checked out.
Look up, Kev, see if you can find A Long Kiss Goodnight. It might be removed from YouTube, but the video clip used to be up there. See if you look up Long Kiss Goodnight and see if it's like Fun Drive, I think is what the clip was labeled. It's the same thing. Gina Davis finds out that like the guy she used to work with, they're going to stage a terror attack. And they literally take a dead Arab. They have an Arab guy. He's dead. They have him in a freezer, and they take him out of a freezer and put him in the cab of the truck. So when they blow the truck up, oh, there's his body.
Yeah, it's gone. It's not there, Popeye. It's gone.
Does taking a dead Arab out of a freezer and blaming him for a terror attack sound familiar at all, by the way?
Oh, whoa. Just a little bit. But yeah, there's some people in the chat who have not heard that one before. You see, that's why you're best coming and listen to us old timers. The veterans of Elenin. We lived through 2012. We've done 9/11. I'm telling you, man. We're like the veterans of the info war. That's what it is, guys. We survived, and all we got is a bloody t-shirt and a live stream to show for it. Fucking ridiculous, isn't it? But we are almost out of time. In fact, we are out of time. Oh, get this. It's 3:22 in the UK. 3:22. Nice skull and bones number. Highly probably influential in the events we've been talking about for the past hour or so. But we've well gone over our 90 minutes, guys. We're almost hitting like 2.5 hours now. So I am definitely going to have to sign out. Popeye, you've been an absolute legend, as usual. You and your Velociraptor there. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Scotty boy, looking healthier than ever as well. Brilliant to you and to everyone out there in the chat room. You people have hung for the majority of the show. I can see the stats on the back end here. Absolutely amazing. I can't thank you all enough. If you want to support the stream, you can get a membership. You don't have to. You can do the super chat, but we're almost gone. PayPal links in the description. And before I go, I'm going to drop one link into the chat room. It's from one of my good friends who actually helps me find a lot of the links I talk about on the show. He's selling some books. He does like second-hand books and things. I'm going to drop that link in the description. So if you're into books and stuff like that, historical books, textbooks, check it out. Big shout out to Alistair McKenzie. You help me all the time, bro. I hope I can help you get your little bookstore thing going. But guys, I'll give you the last word. Scott, I'll come to you first, and then we'll give Popeye the last word, man.
Well, it's good to hear the beard back in rare form. I always enjoy when Popeye's able to join us, and you know, this is the weekends. There's just something special about the weekends, you know. I think me and Joe have said it before. You know, there's just this special energy on the weekend. It harkens back to a little bit of Hangar 18, but you know, you know, and are we going to have to save the adult stream for another time?
Yeah, we are. We are. Popeye, you know how we used to talk about the Bajankle a lot? Well, we were going to go into the weirdest kind of sex toys tonight, but we got waylaid. You came along, and it's been a brilliant stream, so we can save that for another time. And yeah, folks, a warning, we are going to be doing that stream at some point. It's probably going to lose me a boatload of guests that I could get onto the show when they check my YouTube channel. My reputation will take a hit. But hey, I'm not here for a reputation. I'm just here to talk the shit with the guys. Hopefully provide you with something out there to make you think. Not tell you what to think, just to get you to think for yourself. And with all these crazy conspiracies doing the rounds, remember, check things. Get multiple sources before you... Oh, a new member. I think we've unlocked the new emoji. So next Saturday, we'll have to decide what emoji we're going to do. We can even make it on Photoshop when we're on the stream. We'll all do it together. We'll all have fun.
You need a raptor. You need a friggin' raptor emoji.
Could be, dude. Could be.
Sounds like a possibility right there. And before we go, I gotta just say, everybody out there, to send some love to Joe Joseph, because he is he is in some excruciating pain right now. Having a tooth problem like that, toothache, no fun, no bueno.
No,
so
not good.
Some love out to Joe.
So come on, Popeye, take us out, man.
All right, real simply, short and sweet, ladies and gentlemen. Be the change that you wish to see in this world, because you are the heroes that you've been waiting for. There is no saving grace from outside that's going to come and save you. The change and the quote-unquote saving will come from within. It's the whole point of the Matrix trilogy. You are the one. You are Neo. So go out and be the superheroes that you all are. Go out and make the world a better place. Be good to each other and spread love.
That there, folks. You can't top that. So until next week, don't forget tomorrow on the show I've got Charlie Robinson. I love him. Brother from another mother. He's going to be on with me. And then on Tuesday, we have got Chris Anatra, the CEO, that's talking about the fact his company's absolutely scratching its head over Mandela effects. And then on Thursday, we've got Ryan Gable, and we're going to be talking about Stranger Things. I know it's a show you've all been waiting for, so Thursday night for that. Probably no stream next weekend. I'm going up to visit my mum, so I might not be here. Birthday on Tuesday, so please tune into TFR for that one. It's going to be a really good day. I might even come on a stream after my show that day, since it's the birthday, you know. Come and chill out with you great people. We'll see what's happening. Until then, until next time, keep it real. And remember, always think for yourself. And don't trust anything we say. Always go and check it for yourselves. So until next time, we are out of here.